Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local, St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. Our offices are located in beautiful, quickly drying out, we hope, downtown Olivet, Missouri. I am a 40-plus year veteran of the financial services area, a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager. And I'm joined by my incredibly capable crew. My oldest prodigal daughter, Aaron Lapidus, who is a certified financial planner and wealth manager. And her husband, my son-in-law, Rob Markham, our life insurance fixed annuity sales specialist and also wealth manager.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a real game plan, a step-by-step strategy that has several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate.
Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one they can count on so they can do all the things they'd like to do in retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, without Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Aaron, Rob, and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Again, everybody, good morning. Thanks so much for tuning in to 2 hours of fun. That's what the show's all about. And just as a reminder, all of our clients are folks like you, 55 and older. You're our listeners. You would like to retire or you're already retired. And as Aaron mentioned, our goal is to create a game plan for you so you can have a fun and hopefully financially successful retirement. And there are lots of ways, if you like, to keep in touch with us during the week.
That's right. Just log onto our website, jblfinancial.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you can click on the Contact Us button and request a coaching session, financial, Medicare, or both. Or if you happen to have a question during the show, please send us a message through the Contact Us button. If that's easier, then send in the text on the text line, and we will try to get to it during the show. If not, we will respond to you as quickly as we can. On the lower left-hand side of the screen, there's a pop-up box that appears that says sign up for our newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner, and we also keep the last 6 to 12 months archived if you happen to have missed one. If you sign up, we'll send it out to you every single month by email. This is the last week of April, isn't it?
You know, we're just blowing through these months like they're standing still. And, with this, the next week will be the May newsletter.
Our brand new newsletter.
Exactly, but we got some great articles in this one you're certainly going to want to check out. Our first one being Rising Enrollment in Medicare Advantage Plans. You know, the percentage of Medicare beneficiaries enrolled in Medicare Advantage plans has risen substantially since 2005. About half of all Medicare beneficiaries are projected to be enrolled in an Advantage plan this year. And if you've listened to our show for any length of time, you know this is not surprising given how much Medicare Advantage plans are offering these days, from the over-the-counter benefits to copay cards, fitness allowance, hearing aids, dental benefits. More and more Medicare enrollees are taking advantage of Advantage plans.
And you'll be shocked to know we're going to talk a little bit about one of those Advantage plans and those extra benefits in the second hour.
Yes, so there have been some changes to I believe, the fitness allowance, and we're going to dive right into that.
I'll say there are changes, but I'm going to call them clarifications because this is a brand new benefit. No one else has offered it in the past, so there's always kinks to work out. Kind of like when Congress passes legislation and then the IRS has to decide how they're going to enforce it, what the actual rules are. This is a similar situation.
Everything in life has nuances and subtleties, and the fitness allowance is no exception to that rule.
That's exactly right.
And our next article, Understanding the Different Types of Life Insurance. Great article. You know, for many people, life insurance is going to be the cornerstone of their financial game plan, especially when they are just beginning their careers, buying their first homes, starting their families. This is a great article highlighting the different types of life insurance most commonly sold. And our next article, Skepticism towards higher education rises. I feel like this is a very timely article given the news events of the last week or so.
Yeah, there's some excitement going on college campuses, and it doesn't have anything to do with learning.
They're like encampments, and people are building bonfires. Like,
building bonfires.
What is going on? But there has been a notable...
Not math. That's what's going on. No math.
What's that, the slide ruler? None of that going on.
No abacus.
Right. There has been a notable shift in public opinion over the last 10 years about the value of a college degree that may portend a reckoning for the higher education industry in the years ahead. About 56% of Americans say that a college degree isn't worth the cost due to students graduating with significant debt and a lack of specific job skills versus 42% who said they still thought it was worth it. 10 years ago, those numbers were reversed.
I wonder if that has anything to do with what goes on in high schools also. I mean, our client service manager and I were chatting about this a few days ago. They don't even teach you how to balance a checkbook in high school anymore.
Well, I certainly think the burden of student loans, again, this is non-dischargeable debt, and the rising cost of a four-year degree far outstripping even inflated inflation numbers.
Inflated inflation.
Right. I mean, if you look at the growth of what a four-year degree costs over the last 25 years, I mean, it's like a vertical chart going up. So I definitely think that's played a role in some of these numbers.
That's fair.
And our last article, very near and dear to my heart, How to Kill Your Zombie Subscriptions. Zombie subscriptions are renewing services that people sign up for, then forget or rarely use. Common examples include phone, TV, music, news subscriptions, health and fitness memberships. Getting rid of these unnecessary or unused reoccurring charges could help balance your household budget and direct that money towards more useful endeavors. So, my advice would be to conduct an audit, really scrutinize your credit card statements, find those zombie subscriptions, and take them out.
I mentioned that I just canceled a credit card in order to get that taken care of, and we had a great text a few weeks ago that said, instead of canceling your credit card, why don't you just call and say that you lost it, and they will send you a new number, and that will terminate a lot of those subscriptions for you automatically, as opposed to just
that's a
canceling the card.
That is a great little hack that one of our listeners, and our listeners are great, they always have tips and tricks that maybe we don't think of right in the moment, but that certainly is one of them. Just, hey, I can't seem to find that card. Why don't you guys send me a new one?
Well, I stand corrected because one of our texters just let us know that every student in the state of Missouri is required to take a personal finance course in high school in order to graduate. I don't think I took one of those. I mean, I did take a business class, but it's probably a newer thing since I'm, aging rapidly.
Growing up.
There's been some changes on campuses since we were there last.
Yeah. So we call it the Coach's Corner. Easy to access. Go to our website, jblfinance.com. Either click on the bottom left-hand corner, or as you're scrolling through our site, you'll have an ability to sign up on every single page if you want. Just give us your email
number
and phone number. We'll be very happy to send this out to you every single month by email.
That's right.
Which is wonderful. And again, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126. From the text line, we've already had a text this morning, which is great. So we're open. We'd love to hear from you. And while we're waiting, I think what we'll do is let's get to topic number one, which I like. Call it "What's My Number?"
What's my number? The number one question that people have is, "What's my number?"
Exactly, or really is, have I actually done the job to get to what my number really is?
Okay, what is the number?
Well, everybody's number is different because the size of everyone's spending and their lifestyle is also different.
So the number really is, have I accumulated enough to retire? That's the number we're talking about?
Right, because as we know that, the simple algebra problem that we believe retirement is we're looking at how much am I spending, grossing that up for taxes, and then I'm subtracting my sources on a pre-tax basis, Social Security, pension, maybe I'm still working a little bit, etc. Determining whether there is a deficit there, and if there is,
do I have enough
capital
to fill the deficit?
Using a prudent rate of withdrawal to cover that up and do that over a long period of time. So let's, it's interesting because this type of planning, this algebra problem, is the same one that we apply to long-term care planning as well.
That's right, because we tend to view long-term care as disability insurance. So
an income replacement.
Exactly.
That's right.
We have increased spending as opposed to a loss of income, but you can kind of look at those two things in the same way. How do we fill that gap?
Well, good. So let's talk about our friends Joe and Joan.
J and J.
Right.
That's right.
Joe's 64. Joan, his spouse, is 62. They've done a pretty good job in accumulating assets. They have approximately $1.8 million of 401k, going to be IRA assets eventually, and $1.2 million in non-IRA assets.
Wow,
that's a big woohoo.
Well, it is a big woohoo, and what's kind of fun for them is that the majority of their non-retirement assets, their savings, came from the sale of family farm.
Family farms,
which is not unusual.
So they must be Illinois residents.
Well, yeah. Or they're residents of Missouri where the farms happen to be located somewhere else.
I just know Illinois farmland is quite valuable.
I know you were telling me that. They're
like double Missouri, right?
Something to do with the soil. It's better for planting, or
I just know all of our Illinois clients that have those family farms. They are quite valuable.
Yes, they are. So let's talk a little bit about inflows and outflows and try to figure out how their number looks. Help me with this a little bit, Rob, would you?
Joe's Social Security is $3,000 a month.
Now, is that going to be at normal retirement age? Okay, so we have a few years to go before we get to that number.
Right.
All right.
Jones at normal retirement age is going to be $2,500. So we add those two up. We have $5,500, but their income goal is $10,000.
And we've already grossed that up for taxes?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're short about $4,500. Scale that up over 12 months. That's $54,000. Excuse me. Scale that up for taxes, and we're looking at just shy of $65,000 a year that they will need.
So if we are using a prudent rate of withdrawal, we know that $64,800 divided by 4% is about $1.6 million.
The milk money.
That's their number, $1.6 million.
Exactly. So, again, if Joe or Joan had a pension, that would reduce the capital needed because their income flow would be increased. If one of them was working, it could also be increased for a period of time. Again, this happens to be their number based upon their spending. Everybody's spending is different. So I know one thing that we like to discuss, honey, in our coaching sessions is, or at least this is just something that I've kind of adopted in my own mind, which is it's easier to reduce expenses than it is to grow capital.
That does seem to be the case. So we always, we do ask for clients to let us know how much they're spending every month. We don't usually request an itemized list because we're not attempting.
Susie Orman.
Well, we're not Susie Orman because we're not attempting to create a budget for you. What our goal is for you is to be able to live the same life you are living the day before you retire as the day after. So there may be situations or cases in which there are things that you would like to reduce your outflows. You would like to,
or that you can, or actually you can,
without having to make major life changes. So, for example, are you looking to pay off a mortgage, or are you towards the end of a mortgage, and we know that that number is going to change sometimes significantly because for most people, your mortgage is one of the more expensive pieces of your income need in retirement. So,
or maybe they're in the process of sunsetting a debt obligation that's not a mortgage. Maybe you have credit card debt, or you're helping a son or daughter with a student loan. We've seen that many times.
Absolutely.
So these are temporary obligations that we have to factor in the beginning, but are certainly going to fall away at a certain point. So it's going to make their math much more agreeable.
Or in the case, and with Joe and Joan, it's nice because one, we know that they've already hit their number in terms of what they need for retirement. But if they would like to change something about their income, so for example, if they'd like to pay something off, they have accumulated a nice amount of after-tax assets that we could use to liquidate any debts they may have that they no longer want to carry. A lot of people are looking at the fact that if they're taking on new debt obligations because interest rates have risen so significantly over the last few years, they want to be able to liquidate them in a protracted amount of time, as opposed to when your mortgage rates could be sub 3%, you're a little bit more comfortable carrying that for a long amount of time. Now that they're closer to 7%, maybe we're designing a plan to liquidate that faster.
Yeah, and let's give a concrete example of that. I think that would make sense for folks. Let's assume that Joe and Joan had a mortgage obligation right now of $1,000 per month, and let's just assume that this number does not include insurance or taxes, even though they're probably escrowing it. Let's just assume for a moment that it doesn't. So they've got $12,000 a year that they're paying out. Let's also assume, just for fun, that they were getting close to the end. Okay, let's say that they owed, 4 years left. They had $48,000.
So they're really not getting a mortgage interest deduction either anymore.
Not a significant one, certainly not. But I guess what I'm getting to is, and we talk about this a lot, if we're trying to fund for this deficit, in this case, as we know, it's several $1,000s a month, using a 4% withdrawal, that mortgage obligation, that $12,000 a year, requires $300,000 of capital to be allocated, if you want to think about it, or dedicated to paying off that to making that cash flow happen to make those payments. Does it make more sense maybe to get rid of it?
Because that reduces their number by $300,000.
Frees up $300,000 of capital.
Well, sure, and even if and let's just say for fun, in this case, like we said, they owe $48,000. Let's gross that up for taxes, and let's even call it $60,000. So, is it worth paying off at $60,000 versus having $300,000 of assets being held hostage? Obviously, the numbers are pretty significantly different. I would say that in some cases, and we do see this isn't in their case per se, but if we need to get rid of that obligation to really put them into a comfort or safety zone within that 4% withdrawal quarter, then the answer is that's something that we're going to do. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to do it 1 year.
But that's where part of the planning comes in. Are we just increasing their cash flow to liquidate that over 2, 3, 4 years or less? Right,
because what we're concerned about here is we know that, in this case, they have obviously a ton of non-retirement assets, so we could even do this on a non-taxable basis. Most people don't have that much. So, what's going to be the effect on their income taxes in terms of what marginal tax brackets is going to throw them in, number one. And then number two, based on their current income that we're looking at today, this could affect their Medicare Part B premiums. So adding a large lump sum number could really throw them into a situation where they're going to have to pay premiums much higher than they normally would, and that's a penalty almost in itself because that's going to go away after that income is gone.
Yes.
So lots of things to consider here. The nice part is that, at least as far as I'm concerned, the math equation's always the same.
The numbers might be slightly different. In fact, they're always different.
Right. Your numbers are yours based on your lifestyle. And at the end of the day, as Aaron, really put it very well, our goal is to give you, for you to have exactly the same level of income that you had at the time of retirement as you did before you retired. And what we're talking about is not gross, but we're talking about net income.
That's what you lived off. If you
right.
have the ability to retire, most people lived within their net income.
Or they're not talking to us.
Right, because they weren't able to save. That's
well, it's true, right?
The truth. If you're spending above your net income for extended periods of time, most likely you're unable to save, or you've had to raid your retirement accounts on multiple occasions, so you're not in a position, or at least you're not yet in the position to retire. But we know that obviously Joe and Joan were incredible savers. They must have lived well within their income. So if we can recreate that for them, I like to say it's a fixed income of your own choosing. We're just going to recreate what you are already doing. It's not going to limit you in any way.
Yeah, and also it's important that at least we have found out that our clients don't change their spending habits. You may substitute one thing for another, but the level of spending that you're doing today is going to be the same when you retire. You're just changing things out. So I can save on this or I can save on that. We smile and we say, okay, but we know it's not true.
You're going to reabsorb it into your budget in another way, and that's another example of you making choices about your own lifestyle. We're not going to say, well, now that you've cut the cable bill in half, can we reduce what we're sending you by $100 a month? You'll just absorb that in a different way. And Dad, you talk about this really frequently, which is while you're working, most people don't have time or the desire to really delve into what they're spending because cash flow is coming in, they're comfortable, they're making their saving, so they're not worried about it. But when you retire and you got a little extra time and all of a sudden you see the bill come in and you're like, I don't even watch this show. I don't even watch these channels, or I don't even use this internet connection that, is costing me $400 a month. Well, that's a little obscene. But
I'm not going to pay $6 for a glass of orange juice. I'm not doing that. It's not that you couldn't afford to do it. It's just, I'm just not, I just won't do it.
Well, I resemble that remark, Rob. I understand. I was going to say one other thing that's also curious. Well, it's not really curious, but to the point you were making, honey, which is where people really aren't, I don't want to say paying attention, but they don't. You take it for granted. Your work will drop money into your account every week, every 2 weeks, whatever your pace was. Very often we're getting the question, well, how do we get money from you?
How do we get our money back?
Right. And really we're relating, basically, we're going to set this up the same way that your employer did. Would you like to get paid once a month or twice?
Or you're getting a Social Security on a certain week of the month. Do you want us to replicate that so you get all your pay at one time, or do you want us to separate that out? The nice thing is there is no charge to you for us to send money from your account. We withhold the taxes just like your employer was withholding taxes. We could technically send you $1 a day if that was really your desire, but most people they have their own family math. They know they pay certain bills at the beginning or at the end of the month, and we're here to replicate what you're already doing, and we can easily do that. We just have to know.
And I was going to say that at the end of the year, they also receive a 1099.
As opposed to a W-2 that's going to reflect the taxes that you already paid.
Sure.
Everything's streamlined and efficient, and as Jeff likes to say, we haven't had to send anyone back to work.
that didn't want to go back.
No, that's of their choice. So,
before we take our first break of the hour, let's get to our first text question.
And our first texter, or second texter, writes, I am a peers teacher hoping to retire in 2028. I have a 457B. Would your company help with investing that 457B, even though it is held within the school system? The company I currently have will not, and they are charging me 1.5%.
Well, thank you for your text. We are absolutely willing and able to give what we call education for retirement accounts that are not directly under our management. We can't make the investment selections. We can't go into your account and make the changes for you. However, we can let you know what the way that we have you invested with the accounts that we are managing, help you synergize that with what your current options are in your retirement plan, be it a 457B or 401k, 403B. We are here to assist with that. We don't charge for that service because you're already paying us 1% for the money that we do manage. And eventually we know that when you do roll that over because you want to consolidate everything, have everything working together for you in retirement, and also because your 457 really isn't a distribution vehicle, it's really an accumulation vehicle. When we roll that over to combine with your other assets, then we'll be paid our 1% fee.
Yeah, we do this very often. I like to call them preemies.
Right.
Because they're pre-retirement. Help us to get to the end in terms of investment management ideas, advice. We're doing that for them, and we do that because we sort of have mutually agreed that they would like a relationship with us
right
at the time of their retirement. And so what's nice is as I like to say, we can wait. I just had the same, as you know, honey, I had an appointment with one of our prospective nurse clients yesterday. And she's getting ready to retire. She may go back to work part-time. But the question was, well, Jeff, I know I'm old enough. Are we going to leave my money in my, I guess in her case it was a 403B plan, or are we going to move it now? And, my answer was pretty simple. I said, look, if you have an opportunity to continue to make contributions,
we'll leave it.
We're leaving it until you actually physically say, I'm done. And there's a reason for that. The environment that you're in is the lowest cost environment that you can be in inside of a retirement plan. We're happy to be of assistance.
In education.
Right. Thank you. Educational assistance, guidance, before the time. But once you actually decide to retire, that's when the time really is to move the money. So it's all good. And as Aaron said, with many cases, many of those folks, those preemies, they may have other accounts, other IRAs, possibly non-retirement accounts, that they would like us to take over and begin active management for them to synergize that with what they have.
But there are also quite a few people that only saved in their retirement plans because not only was that conventional wisdom, but like what you said, Dad, it's the lowest cost environment for you to invest. You were taking advantage of tax deductions all of the years that you were working by making those contributions to pre-tax accounts. So in those cases, we're often seeing people 2 times a year to check on how things are going, help give them advice in other areas. Maybe they're clients that are looking to liquidate debt or make changes before they retire. Maybe one spouse retires before another. There are a lot of different circumstances in which we've begun relationships before someone has moved their assets.
Yeah, it was interesting because one of our larger new clients, and they're really not new clients, I was doing that for the last 8 or 9 years before they actually, before our client actually retired. And it finally became time, but it was fun. And so.
Well, it's cool because you get to see the whole journey. Because 10 years is a pretty significant amount of time, especially when you are 10 years before retirement, because that's really when the bulk of the savings for retirement begins.
Yeah, and I think for this client what was also nice is that, look, the last 10 years have been tumultuous, to say the least, in terms of ups and downs in the markets, obviously pandemics, financial crises, et cetera. And he had an opportunity to really have us assist him in terms of maneuvering through these waters. And then when it came time, it was like, great, let's take the money. And we did.
You know what else it's time for?
First break of the hour.
Let's do that.
So don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
The wait is finally over. Come visit Genesis of St. Charles. Your all-new standalone Genesis dealership is now open. Come see for yourself the dedication and passion that have helped shape this unique space designed to elevate your Genesis journey. Luxury and excellence live here at your new Genesis of St. Charles. We make amazing happen. Visit our new indoor showroom at 5601 Veterans Memorial Parkway in St. Peters. Or for more information, visit genesisofstcharles.com.
A message from the Master. If you are looking for that one-of-a-kind gift this year, come on in to Newstetter's Fine Jewelers. Let Richard draw your future present for somebody you love. This special engraving lasts a lifetime. At the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com. This is Mariah, third generation at Newstetter's Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newstetter's, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
Maybe you've been shopping for a new bathroom because you spend a lot of time there. Stop at michaelsbaths.com and see what they have for you. In a nutshell, 30 years experience, A-plus rating with the BBB, 30 to 50% cheaper than the competition, names like Moen and Centrel, financing options available, a bath, a shower, they can do it for you. Check them out online at michaelsbaths.com or call 636-775-0800.
We sell truckloads of siding, windows, doors, and decking. My name is Julius Krasanik, and I'm celebrating 52 years in this industry. Our company is Wholesale Siding Depot. We have over 200 years of combined siding, window, door, and decking knowledge from our seasoned customer service group. My grandson Elijah says,
"Are you kidding me?"
With just one click to WSDepot.com, that's WSDepot.com, you will find the best brands in the business like Anderson, CertainTeed, Viwinco, Masonite, Provia, Trex, TimberTech, and others. We also offer a great selection of styles and colors that are durable and energy-saving, all at everyday wholesale pricing. No silly window ads that say buy 2 windows, get 2 free, or 50% off labor. We also have a free contractor referral service to take care of your installation needs. Keep it local, family, and professional. Please visit our website, WSDepot.com. That's WSDepot.com.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Welcome back. It's 9:37 here on the Big 550 KTRS, Talk Radio St. Louis. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Aaron Lapidus, the retirement coach.
And I'm Robert Markham, your life insurance and fixed annuities sales specialist.
And we are willing, waiting, and wanting to answer your questions at text 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Before we move on to our next topic, and I know that we're hoping that the text line is going to fill out because we love to hear what's on your mind because we always have a lot of things on ours. We're busy. We're busy.
We are busy.
We are.
You, our listeners, i.e., truthfully, our clients or prospective clients, are calling in, having coaching sessions. We're seeing people continuing to retire at a brisk rate.
6 days a week.
Not only those folks that we've been visiting with and, frankly, have gotten to that point, but also new folks. And so I would tell you, it's momentum. I just have this feeling that we have this momentum going on, just this really positive energy. And I know it's hard to imagine when you think about what's going on in the world, which is messed up, what's going on in the college campuses, which is really messed up, especially if I was paying for it now, I'd be ticked. I mean, like, honey, if I see your face in the crowd, you're coming home.
You already
go to
paid
class.
for it twice.
Go to class, exactly. Yes, I did pay for it twice. Yeah, that's enough. We won't even go.
That's
We're not even
enough.
going to go down there.
You don't want to pay for an encampment and a bonfire?
No, we're not going to talk about our president, letting people off the hook for obligations that they made as adults. Forget that. We're not going to go there. Inflation's high, right? The markets have been, up and down. Stock market's been up and down a little bit. I just feel like there's momentum. I really do.
I would just only say that, it's not really letting anyone off the hook of obligations. It's just spreading it to everyone.
Right. There is no free lunch, and people don't look at it that way because, we all have to pay.
Right. Somebody has to pay that money back. Right.
And, whether it's the currency being debased a little bit, a
little bit.
Well, 2% inflation is the goal. I think we're almost, it's come down from what it was, and that's, we're trending, and I feel like we're trending in the right direction, but it's probably going to be a little bit stickier for a little bit longer.
Well, the rate of increase may be going on, but the 20% increase that we already had isn't
going
dissipating.
Down. Well, we have to see a negative inflation number in order for that to occur.
I know they're back to talking about raising the capital gains tax, and they want unrealized gains to be taxed. Well, if I didn't realize them, how are you this?
If I didn't realize them,
it's bizarro world. But I don't think any of these things stand a snowball's chance, and of passing. But it's just the idea that you would say these things or suggest them with a straight face. That's infuriating, or can be.
Well, I'm only, again, I brought this out only to make the point, at least to me, is that I just feel like we're always in a situation where there is significant amounts of uncertainty, okay? And it isn't that we're always at war, because we're not. It isn't that we're always in places of high inflation, and we're not. It's not like we have unrest on college campuses, et cetera. It's not any of that. But
it's all happened before, I think, is a good point.
But what happens is that the underlying economy is strong. It's strong. And I can tell you anecdotally, I know it's strong because...
Look at the parking lots everywhere.
I just talked to my golf buddies.
Oh, your contingent of construction crew.
Absolutely.
What do you call them, the wise men?
The three wise men, exactly. I call them other things, but I can't do monorail. I'm just kidding. But, my friends, my first question to them...
How's business?
Is how is your backlogs? Are they still? Is the momentum still occurring in their businesses? And they're telling me yes, we're still as strong as we've ever been since COVID. And it's great because once the contractors start slowing down, that's when the economy starts slowing down. So again, anecdotally, I'm not seeing this. And even though it seems like every government number that we hear gets changed. Downward.
Revised.
That's the nice word to say. Whatever. Just quit lying to us. It's just not that good. 2 point whatever to 1.6. Hello.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a shocking number. I think that was the more concerning number, in my opinion, over the last few days.
Well, again, what happens is that everybody's life, you have this cycle. And what happens is there's a time when you want to say, I want to step back. I want to be in a position to do that. And we're not seeing that slow down, and I think it's great. I really do, not just only for our business, because this is what we do, but it's neat that people are they still have the confidence to be able to make the decision that, I'm going to walk away from that income. I'm going to replace it. Mm-hmm. I feel confident I can. That's what a game plan is all about. So I think it's fun.
I think me and Aaron certainly agree with just about everything you said, certainly with the economy not in a slowdown. Every parking lot we go by, that's the first thing we mention, full. And
where are these? Do they work? No, they're at the mall. It's great.
My brother has a great saying, and I think it applies to the U.S. economy. No one can stop the big wheel from turning.
Right, betting against the U.S. economy.
Right, bad bet in the past, going to be a bad bet in the future. And
before we take our next break, we have a fabulous text question.
Super. And just a reminder, our phone lines are open 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the Getting Hot, Heating Up text line.
And our next texter writes, what does a long-term care policy cover that Medicare wouldn't? Thanks.
This is incredibly important because in my opinion, when we hear numbers about the expense of healthcare in retirement, we're not talking about your daily Medicare expenses, which would be visits to the doctor, labs, x-rays, admissions to the hospital, surgeries, treatment for any type of disease, from cancer to anything that you can think of. That's all covered under Medicare. Where Medicare stops and where your true health insurance expenses start is after 100 days in the hospital. No matter what Medicare supplement or Medicare plan that you have elected to couple with your Medicare benefits, everything stops after 100 days in the hospital. So what that means is if you are in need of long-term care, which is what the government defines as over 90 days in the hospital, and a physician says that is going to last over 90 days. So if you think of people that need skilled nursing assistance that can no longer live on their own, maybe they've had catastrophic strokes, they've had issues where you are in need of substantial assistance, that is where your Medicare benefits are going to start. And either you have your own resources in terms of capital to support those expenses, or you have added additional protection for yourself through a type of long-term care policy that will help cover those custodial care expenses as well as facilities care. In many cases, they used to call these policies, what do they used to call them? Nursing home care benefits. And they've really adapted over the years to include care at home, care in a facility, and care in skilled nursing. Skilled nursing means that you need 24-hour around-the-clock assistance. There is a nurse on the floor specifically looking at you, versus if you just need a facility care for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and again, just to take this further, we're talking about the inability for you to perform two or more activities of daily living.
And that includes transferring, which means getting up and out of a chair, being able to feed, bathe yourself, use the restroom on your own. There's also eating. There's also a secondary qualification, which would be cognitive issues. So either you have to lose 2 activities of daily living, or you have to be diagnosed with a form of dementia, Alzheimer's, that would impair your cognitive abilities.
Right. And assuming that you don't need a full-time facility care, what we're talking about is what they call custodial care. So it's non-skilled care. I hate to say the word babysitting, but I mean, that's kind of what it is.
Well, it's also maybe you need somebody that help you bathe, help you prepare meals, help you get around the house a little bit.
And Medicare doesn't cover any of that.
Does Medicare cover hospice? Yes, it does. Medicare Part A covers hospice. So this is the interim between, I hate to say it this way, your Medicare benefits and hospice is where long-term care coverage is the piece that you need to have to cover those additional expenses. Medicare comes back in and does cover hospice care.
And again, I think, and since we did get this question, let's go back to, again, the algebra problem that we use. We take the estimated cost of custodial care, and let's just say that's $9,000 to $10,000 a month. We add to that what we think the cost to maintain, assuming this person happens to have a spouse. What is the cost for the non-institutionalized or non-critically ill spouse to maintain their lifestyle? And usually it's much lower because the lifestyle expenses are pretty much gone.
Because they really become a secondary caregiver or a primary caregiver.
So let's say that's $2,000 to $3,000 a month. So we're $12,000 to $13,000 a month. Okay, what are your sources? Well, you have your Social Security benefits, both of you.
You had any pension that you may have already had. If you had rental income, your investment income doesn't stop either.
And most likely you're old enough that you're receiving required minimum distributions.
So
you're
that
over the
could
age
have
of
increased.
73.
Yeah.
Those are continuing. So the real question is that do you have a gap in cash flow?
And that's what you want to fund to in terms of your long-term care benefit.
Right.
So
just like with retirement planning, we fund to the whole. So we don't fund for the whole benefit, we fund for the whole. And that's where we find that, frankly, I think at least 50 to 60% of the people we see that actually have purchased long-term care insurance, they have too much.
Right, we're looking at reductions over time based on when increases are issued by insurance companies. But I think we should probably get to our second break of this hour.
And we'll come back right after these messages.
Play ball! Baseball season is here, and the perfect place to watch the game is high atop the Hilton St. Louis at 360. 360 offers you a bird's eye view of the Cards while enjoying your favorite ice-cold libation and tasty treat, featuring inventive takes on sliders, fish tacos, pizzas, and more. So before, during, or after the downtown baseball game, you've got to be with the in-crowd at 360 atop the Hilton at the ballpark. 360-STL.com.
St. Louis is proud to be a baseball town and more recently a soccer town. On Friday, May 3rd, the Birds on the Bat host the Chicago White Sox. And that night, 25,000 fans 16 and older will take home a Cardinals soccer jersey presented by Purina. That's Friday, May 3rd, the Cardinals, the White Sox, and the exclusive soccer jersey giveaway. For tickets or more info, visit cardinals.com/promotion.
This is Giovanni Gallegos. Get your tickets at Cardinals.com.
Calling all bobblehead collectors and animal lovers. This is one you won't want to miss. Join us at the ballpark on Saturday, May 4th, when the Cardinals host the Chicago White Sox and the 19th annual Purina Pooches in the ballpark. That day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will receive a bobblehead of Adam Wainwright with his lovable retirement gift, his new pup Louie, courtesy of Purina. For full details, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Adam Wainwright, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
As spring showers approach, it's time to be prepared with Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District's Know Your Zone program. Remember, if it rains where you live, it can flood where you live. Proposition S will help MSD Project Clear tackle flooding and erosion issues across the region. But it's only part of the solution. Visit knowyourzone.org to see your flood risk and protect your home. Learn more about MSD Project Clear at msdprojectclear.org.
Before you put your home on the market, before you have to pay money fixing it up to sell it, before you have to pay real estate commissions, call me. I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I will buy your home. Any property, any condition, anywhere, and always as is. Call me, Mike Robinson with Robank Properties at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. You have nothing to lose when you call Robank Properties at 314-283-0867.
We searched the globe for the world's best furniture, and what I've found is some of the best quality is made right here in the USA. With superior construction, durable fabrics, and custom comfort options, Miller Furniture is proud to bring the largest selection of American-made furniture to the St. Louis area. Whether it's Smith Brothers in Bern, Indiana, or Oakwood Industries in Memphis, Missouri, our suppliers are family-owned and operated too. You'll see a variety of styles in stock and custom order options at any of our 3 locations, including our newest showroom in Ellisville on Manchester Road.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to hour 1 of the show. Quickly closing in a few minutes. And don't forget, we got hour number 2, the Hour of Power, coming up. Talk a little bit about it here in the next hour. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the Heating Up text line.
And they're coming in fast and furious. Our next texter writes, regarding being busy, yes, but as a current client, also incredibly responsive, as demonstrated by the 12:30 a.m. emails I have received from Erin answering a query I made earlier in the day, demonstrates some very good customer service, in my opinion. You know, you are not kidding. I really feel that's one area where JBL Financial far exceeds the competition, is the diligence and the responsiveness in which they will get back to any and all queries. I mean, it's, like you said,
it's obsessive-compulsive disorder.
12:30
It works to your advantage.
at night, and it doesn't stop. It just, because you care, we're all over.
We are everywhere.
Right.
Well, I just think about it as myself. If I was working with someone that was holding a large amount of my assets, I would like to know that they're ready, willing, and able to respond.
And sleeping sometimes at night.
Well, sometimes when you can't sleep, what's the best thing to do? Just work away.
Well,
There's nothing on TV.
Well, last night was the draft, so it was kind of cool.
That was a fun night, but I didn't get any emails. Everybody must have been obsessed with taking a look at, what those Rams out in L.A. were doing or something.
There you go. Well, good. Our next text question is?
Good morning. Do Advantage plans cover long-term care?
No, they do not. Medicare Advantage plans, supplemental coverage, all of these benefits that you couple with your Medicare coverage, so Medicare Part A and B, they cover 80% of your medical expenses that are covered under Medicare. You are electing a Medicare Advantage plan or a supplemental plan to help you cover the last 20% that Medicare does not cover. That being said, all of those plans emanate from Medicare benefits, which means they are only going to cover what Medicare covers. Now, in some cases, they have ancillary benefits that they will help you cover. Medicare Advantage plans, for example, dental, hearing, vision, silver sneakers, fitness benefits, copay cards, all those great extra things, those are extras. The plans themselves will only cover what Medicare is going to cover. So nothing you couple with your Medicare coverage, unless it is a long-term care benefit, which has to be purchased separately. And there are many different versions of long-term care policies now. You can hybrid them with annuity policies, with life insurance policies. You can purchase in-home care only. You can purchase comprehensive coverage that covers in-home skilled nursing and also assisted living. You have to use one of those separate, unrelated policies in order to truly create long-term care coverage for yourself, unless, and the national average says that if you have over $1.5 million of liquid assets, so this does not include the value of your home, you may be in a position where you can self-fund long-term care needs. Now, I haven't seen any revised numbers for inflation or cost of living with that $1.5 million in almost 10 years, so that may be a little low. And as we all often like to say, long-term care for people in those positions may be a security blanket, but it may be one that you would like and have the ability to afford, so it's something you might want to look at. We're often looking at long-term care benefits for individuals between 62 and 65 years old. Prior to that, you're a little young unless you have a family medical history, especially of cognitive issues. You may want to start a little bit earlier, and that's just to ensure that you're able to secure that policy before something may happen, because unfortunately these policies are very difficult to procure. You may want them, but the insurance company may not offer them to you. Or if you find that you are a person that doesn't qualify, we will have a longer runway to start planning for alternative ways to fund your long-term care expenses if they do occur, because just because the insurance company isn't going to be willing to partner with us to do that for you doesn't mean it's not an issue that we need to that we're going to need to address at some point.
Honey, let me go back to that 1.5 million number, because at least in our mind, 1.5 million, 4% withdrawal rate, 60,000.
Coupled with Social Security.
Coupled with Social Security for one person.
Mm-hmm.
The other person's Social Security is really covering their income. That's really kind of the break, if you want to call it the break even.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty close to a break even number, and that's for institutionalized care. So filling the gap and how important and where your asset mix is also important, because we can't purchase long-term care insurance or even other forms of protection using IRA assets directly. We have to use non-retirement assets or non-retirement income flows. It's just something to remember. Again, I was going to say, do us a favor. Don't touch that dial. We have an extra hour. Well, it's not extra. It's our second hour.
We have an additional hour.
We're going to be talking about Medicare because, as Rob said, we care. So we talk a lot about Medicare.
So if you have Medicare questions on deck, please don't keep them on deck. Let us know.
Give us a call, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the KTRS text line. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Medicare, and we're also going to talk about your text and also some subjects that we're interested in talking about. So do us a favor. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with some more Straight Talk on Retirement after this whole bundle full of messages.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. As promised in our last hour, we're going to kick this hour off with our smart choices about your healthcare segment. We have Frank Ellis in the house this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Frank. Thank you. Frank has made a special appearance. He's on the show regularly, but he made a special last-minute appearance this morning because Aetna has had to make some changes to the fitness benefit that we have spent quite a bit of time talking about. Interestingly enough, one of our clients was tipped off about this change maybe 2 weeks prior to the actual change going into effect, and I had to admit by email, and I'll admit on the air, I didn't even think it was going to happen because we had reached out to Aetna. They didn't know our local Aetna reps didn't know about it. Our local marketing agency who helps us with different Medicare policies, both the Medicare Advantage and the supplement, they didn't know about it. But then the release came out, and if you have Aetna, a Medicare Advantage plan, you probably received a notification that some of the things that Aetna wanted to cover under the fitness allowance are not going to be able to be covered. We're going to kind of go over not only a quick story about some of the things that are and are not covered, but we'll go through specifically again what is going to be covered, what the changes are. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of this, I just want to say this is the first time that any Medicare Advantage plan has been able to offer a fitness benefit. And a lot of people have concerns about Medicare Advantage plans. What will they cover as much as Medicare offers? Are they going to cover as much as the supplement? The reason Aetna is having to make these changes is because they got out a little in front of their skis. And they started offering benefits that CMS, so the Center for Medicare Services, that's the government, decided cannot be covered under Medicare. So this is an example of an insurance company, a Medicare Advantage plan, wanting to cover more than what the government is going to allow them to cover. So I would just keep that in mind when you are making your decisions about, is it a Medicare Advantage plan, is it a supplement? These Medicare Advantage plans, they have a vested interest in keeping their enrollees healthy because that means they spend less money. It's not benevolent in any way, but it does work to your advantage. So now that I've tried to paint the rosiest picture on this change, let's go over a situation that basically the situation that keyed us into this change.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Aaron. And I just want to add that these plans, these Medicare Advantage plans, these are all approved by CMS, Center for Medicare Services. So Medicare is the overseer. They are the final answer when it comes to what any insurance company can do. That includes Aetna. That includes United Healthcare, Humana. So the way that this works is we all know during the open enrollment period time, the new plans come out for the year. So, for instance, this open enrollment period from August to December 7th coming up this year, you will be preparing for your plans for 2025. Now, all of those plans that are going to be set for 2025 have to be approved by CMS. So it's not like Aetna can just make anything that they want without any sort of oversight or oversee.
Right, like, oh, we lost a little bit of money last year. Now your copay to the doctor is $100.
That's right.
So they have to keep within regulations, and that's why you don't see a lot of changes to the Medicare Advantage plans with those benefits. You'll see them tweaked $5 here, $10 there. A maximum out of pocket goes up or down $100. We're not talking about anything significant in most cases, but this one slipped through the CMS cracks, so to speak. Right. And so now CMS has come back and said we need to make a few changes to what you are going to allow to be covered under this particular benefit.
That's right. And with saying that brings us to Pat, his story. Pat actually emailed us back in February with some questions about the Aetna Fitness benefit. And everyone that has this Aetna benefit, you're on some sort of Aetna Medicare Advantage plan, whether it be the Aetna Gold HMO. This will even affect the folks that have that still have the Aetna Elite PPO, as well as any folks on the new SmartFit PPO plans, because this fitness allowance is a benefit in every single last one of those plans.
Okay.
So he emailed us back in February and mentioned that he'd be taking a whitewater rafting excursion up in Glacier Mountain National Park over the summer. He said that he had several items that he wanted to submit to Aetna using his fitness allowance of $1,200 out of that Aetna Gold HMO plan.
So I think I noticed, just to be upfront, that the dollar amounts, at least in our area, so for everyone that can hear our voices, the dollar amount has not changed on any of these plans. Is that correct? It's $1,200 for the Gold Advantage, $600 for the PPOs.
So it's $1,200 for the Gold Advantage HMO and also $1,200 for the SmartFit PPO.
Got you.
The Aetna Elite is the only one with the $600.
But that was true prior to this. Okay,
yes,
perfect.
And that did not change.
Got you. So you still have the same dollar amount.
Plan benefits amounts did stay the same.
Okay.
So under his specific plan, the one that most folks are under, the Aetna Gold HMO, you get the $1,200 yearly benefit. It's not a quarterly benefit. It is a yearly benefit, so you can spend that as you'd like.
Got you.
So included in his list that he wanted to send to Aetna was a $90 national park fee. So, whenever you go to the national park, you can get a lifetime national park fee. So that was $90. He submitted a $70 counter assault bear spray, which I absolutely love. Sounds so lethal. Sounds like it's going to get the job done.
Right. I also wonder if this is really going to be covered. Is that I guess because you're hiking whilst potentially using it. But,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe some of the verbiage that was out there said camping gear.
Okay.
Okay. So he also submitted $87 for whitewater rafting. Okay. And again, something that has been on the list is like kayaking. Okay. Things such as kayaking. Okay. Right. So we're thinking, whitewater rafting. $174 for a high-grade, lightweight Osprey backpack. Again, camping gear.
It's got some good taste.
Yeah. Oh, very good taste. Listen to these. $120 top siders for Sperry's.
Oh, nice.
I'm still a big Sperry fan, so I absolutely love those. I still have a couple in my closet. I don't know if they're in style, but I still have them.
They last a while, too.
They do. And then he spent $187 and $169 for Hoka walking shoes and Hoka walking shoes and Hoka walking boots.
So he was attempting to take advantage of the shoe allowance by buying different types of shoes. He's got walking shoes, hiking boots, and the Sperry's.
That's right.
Got you. Because the rule was you couldn't buy the same type of shoe originally. At least that's what the original verbiage was.
That's right. So if you had one walking shoe, you couldn't get another walking shoe, but you could say that this is going to be a running shoe or a hiking shoe or something like that.
Got you. So he's already trying to take full advantage, which we love.
Oh, absolutely.
Take advantage of all the benefits available to you, not just this one.
So he submitted these items back to Aetna at the end of February. Okay, so February 29th. And around mid-March, whenever he did not hear a response from Aetna, he decided to just go ahead and call Aetna and just check what the status was of those items that he submitted. So once he called Aetna around mid-March, Aetna actually had told him that they did not have the claims. So what ended up happening was he ended up having to refile those claims in mid-March. And then towards April, he started to receive some letters from Aetna, some approval letters and some denial letters. on all of these items that he had submitted to them.
And he was great at kind of keeping us abreast of what was going on, because I always like to say that the one drawback that Frank and I have on these Medicare Advantage plans is that we're not actually enrolled in them. So we don't get to experience the benefits the way that our clients do.
That's right.
He mentioned that he submitted these by paper. So I do know that if you submit electronically, you usually get a faster response. So if you go onto your portal and do the submission, it can happen a little bit faster. And then secondly, you need to submit each claim individually. So for example, if he submitted all 3 of the shoes at the same time, you're going to get a denial on one of the 3 because they want signatures for each one individually. And this is one of the ways that you can avoid this, is, as opposed to doing it by paper. If you do it electronically, they won't let you submit more than one at a time. So just to keep things clear for everyone, some tips and tricks that we've been learning along the way.
Absolutely. All right. So, Pat, he was very surprised. Okay. So let's talk about what got approved. Very easy here. The only thing that got approved on his submissions were his shoes.
Okay.
Nothing else. No, not the camping gear, not the backpack, not the bear spray, not the whitewater rafting. None of that was
approved. Or the national park fees.
Or very surprisingly, the national park fee got denied.
Because that was literally listed as one of the options available to you as an example.
That's right. If you have seen either the evidence of coverage or even the summary of benefits,
or
national
that little
park
flyer
fees,
thing, exactly.
or that flyer, the Aetna Fitness flyer, yes, national park fees was in bold letters.
Right.
So he was very surprised whenever he got a denial that basically said, we do not cover this item under your fitness allowance. So he decided to call Aetna again, see what was going on, because, again, it was listed in 2 or 3 different spots that national park fees would be covered.
Got ya.
So when he called Aetna this next time, he found out some pretty valuable information. A piece of that information was that there were going to be some big changes coming to the Aetna fitness plan benefit. And by changes, we just mean there were going to be some items that were going to be taken off of the fitness allowance.
Got ya.
Now, included in those items that are going to be removed effective immediately.
So that's as of April 23rd.
This is as of April 23rd. And like you mentioned earlier, Aaron, clients should have a letter in the mail stating exactly what these changes to this plan are.
Right, you're going to get an updated fitness reimbursement benefit, how it works, what's included, what the value of the benefit is. It's going to list out some examples of what are and are not covered.
Mm-hmm. So, on that list of recent updates of what is going to be removed or what is already removed from the fitness allowance per CMS guidelines, again, this is Center of Medicare Services guidelines, are going to be national and state park fees.
Unfortunate.
Your athletic shoes.
So no more shoes.
No more shoes, no more boots, no more hiking boots or anything like that. Camping tents.
So what about camping gear?
As far as I know, no camping gear. I would probably stay clear of it for now until we get a solid what sort of gear.
Got ya. Okay.
Fishing rods specifically, and hiking poles. So this list here, these are items that are no longer going to be covered as of April 23rd.
If you have a receipt from January 1st to April 22nd, Aetna is going to do everything that it can to reimburse you for those expenses. Mm-hmm. And Frank and I were talking about this, and we think if you've submitted a claim, even if you're not a current client of ours and you would like some extra help, maybe we'll get some additional, we are going to attempt to get some additional information as to how we can ensure or at least give you the best opportunity to have what is covered, previously covered for you. If you fall into this circumstance, you have to have a receipt though between January 1st and April 22nd of the shoes. If you bought hiking poles, if you bought a fishing pole, whatever the case is of all this things that are no longer going to be covered. Frank's going to do his best to help you. We're going to do our best to get more information. And if we have anything to give additional tips and tricks like we have been and always do. We're going to let you guys know that, but you can feel free to give Frank a call at our office, 314-863-0008, or send him an email, franklin@jblfinancial.com. I would suggest give him as much information as possible in the email. Send him a copy of the receipt, give a description of what's already happened so he can hit the ground running to either give you some guidance or, say this instead and send it back in. So we're going to try to be here to be of assistance to you in this, because just like Aetna is disappointed, we are also disappointed that CMS has made these changes. But let's continue before I jump back on the soapbox.
I just want to say, just keep in mind that this is still a leading industry benefit.
It's brand new.
It's brand new. No other insurance company is even attempting to cover additional fitness allowances for you folks. So there, while there have been some changes, you're still going to be able to go get your golf fees covered, your pickleball fees covered, bowling, yoga, home gym equipment. So this is still going to cover an abundant amount of items for you.
Right, so go buy some different stuff.
Yeah.
if you bought some things
you can
that
use
aren't
it a different
covered,
way now.
Exactly. And Frank, you said it really well. This is still a leading industry benefit. When I was teasing our topic for today, I mentioned that, this happens frequently. When new benefits are released, it takes time for us to. I was hoping it would go the other direction and that we were going to figure out things to be covered that weren't listed. Unfortunately, I wasn't exactly accurate, and we're finding out things that can't be covered. But that doesn't mean over time things won't change. For example, Medicare used to not cover acupuncture or chiropractic care, and over time they've added those benefits. So it's highly possible that down the line you'll see these added back in. But for right now, buy some other fitness stuff.
That's right. That's right. You can use your benefit in a different way now.
And they haven't cut the dollar amount, which is really key in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's very beneficial still for folks that get that $1,200. But again, it's just those 5 items. And I know there are going to be some calls about this next week. Again, find your receipt for anything that you have prior to January 1st up to April 23rd, because we can make those submissions and we can still get those covered. It's kind of like you're getting grandfathered in a way.
Right, because CMS still does have to give some deference to the fact that this benefit was advertised and released in a specific way. They have very strict marketing requirements to make sure that things like this don't happen. So because they've made some changes, Aetna's going to do everything they can to make sure that you get your benefit covered. Let's go over, since now we've talked about the negative, the things that aren't covered: shoes, golf clubs, fishing poles, camping equipment, national park fees. What are some of the things that still are covered that are probably the most popular?
Yeah, so definitely the most popular is going to be your golf green fees. I've had a few people actually submit some golf clubs, and they got covered as well.
So if you bought before April 23rd, try it out. We'll help you out.
Definitely. Pickleball fees are really big now, too. A lot of folks still like to play pickleball. Bowling league fees are also covered. Of course, any gym that's not associated with Silver Sneakers is still covered. So if you want to go to that Lifetime Fitness, or if you want to go to another gym, some sort of I don't know what other gyms are. They're like a boxing gym, kickboxing gym, or something like that.
That's not already covered by your no-cost membership.
Then Aetna will still cover that under that fitness allowance.
Got ya.
Fees such as like dance class fees, yoga class fees, those were also on the original list. Those are all still covered as well.
Okay. Activities and fitness supplies.
That is going to be things like home exercise equipment. So if you wanted like a treadmill or an elliptical or like a punching bag or something, then Aetna will continue to pay for that. Weights, yes, of course. Exercise peddler. And then wearable items such as
now be careful
devices.
Wearable items are not clothes or shoes any longer.
That's right.
It's going to be like a Fitbit, I'm guessing, or the odometer, like that tracks your steps, that kind of thing.
Yes. Apple Watch, Google Watch, all those will continue to still be covered.
Got you.
So the list is still very thorough, still has some very, very attractive items that you can cover under this fitness allowance.
Okay. And then the other important thing is that I noticed and that you've mentioned in the past is that for all fitness purchases over $100, the member must provide documentation that they personally use the item for a fitness activity when they submit the reimbursement. So what is an example of that?
So
do you have like a little space to give a dissertation on what you did or that kind of thing?
Yes.
Or like a picture of you walking?
You're going to submit a picture. That would be funny. I can't imagine getting a ton of emails from folks that, I helped submit this paperwork
like,
from them. Yeah.
Here's my fitness watch.
Their pictures. So there is a description in the reimbursement form where you need to be as precise as possible in explaining what you're doing with this fitness allowance. So basically, what you're doing with your Apple Watch or your Google Watch,
gotcha.
or what you're doing with your elliptical that you just bought,
like using it.
Yeah, exactly.
It is not a really expensive clothing hanging device.
Although I don't know that I would use mine a lot if I had one at home.
Right? Everybody has grand designs on that.
That's right.
That's so funny. All right, so I think the long and short of this is, unfortunately, some things that we were super hyped about, like the shoes, the golf clubs, the national park fees, are not going to be able to be covered under this benefit. However, the majority of everything else is. No one that signed up for a Aetna Medicare policy that received a certain dollar amount on the fitness allowance is having that dollar amount changed. So you still have access to the full amount of benefit that you originally had access to before. And then last and probably most importantly, if you're someone that purchased one of these items and has yet to submit and receive your reimbursement from Aetna before April 23rd, go ahead and submit it. If you have any issues, reach out to us, and Frank will be here to provide some assistance for you, because we really popularized this benefit, so we feel partially responsible for helping make sure people receive it within that time frame.
Absolutely. And I'll just add lastly, continue to listen to the show, because coming up in this next open enrollment from October through December 7th, there's going to be more additions to the Aetna fitness allowance.
Right.
And I will have that information probably around August, but of course I would not be able to release that information until October.
This is the
but
earliest.
We're going to see how they beef this plan up.
Awesome. This is the earliest teaser we've ever been able to have. So they're already in the works of trying to work with CMS on this.
That's right.
So thank you so much for coming in, Frank. We really appreciate it. And with that, we're going to take our first break of this hour. But when we get back, we'll still be here to answer your questions, 314-931-5877, or send us a text, 84126 on the text line. We'll be right back.
Hallmark Stone is a wholesale fabricator of granite and quartz countertops. They normally only sell to kitchen and bath shops, home stores, remodelers, and builders. But once a year, they open their doors to the general public to benefit Annie's Hope and Carney's Kids charities. This Saturday and Sunday is that weekend. It's the 21st annual Granite Remnant Sale, where you can buy granite remnants at up to 50% off retail pricing. Remnants are great for vanity tops, fireplace surrounds, small bar tops, and more. Hallmark Stone is off I-44 at the Soccer Park exit. For directions, call 636-349-1288. Or better yet, check out their website at hallmarkstone.com. Enjoy extreme savings while benefiting local charities. What a great combination. Stop by Hallmark Stone's 21st annual Granite Remnant Sale this Saturday and Sunday. For more information, visit hallmarkstone.com.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talking Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, welcome back. It's 10:29 here in the Big 550 KTRS. Half of hour number 2's gone, but our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877, or KTRS text line 84126.
Quick question. If I missed it, are bikes covered under the reimbursement program? It does say fitness equipment, so yes, we believe that bikes are still covered. Now, bike repairs are not covered. Rob was actually figuring his ways around the fitness changes this morning, and he said, well, if you have a bike that needs to be repaired but it's not covered, why don't you just buy a new bike?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably sell that used and say it's used, not abused.
Right.
Just needs a little love and care, and, you come out smelling like a rose.
New bike. Still got $1,200 if you're on the HMO. And it looks like we have a text phone call. Our first caller of the morn.
Good morning, Don.
Good morning. I have the HMO with the $1,200 fitness plan, and I was disappointed about all the golf clubs and everything else, but I am interested in bike riding, and I was just curious if I could buy a brand new bike. I mean, they run, $500-$600.
So the fitness reimbursement benefit flyer that you'll receive does say in the activities and fitness supplies, fitness equipment. So I would assume that a bike is considered fitness equipment.
Well, that's the big problem, is the assuming part, because I've called them before and said, can I have a detailed list of what you'll approve and what's not approved? Mm-hmm. And they just don't have it.
Okay, so how about what I will do is I'm going to email our contact at Aetna, and I'll get it in writing if he says yes or no. And I will let everyone know on the air next week. Or if you would like, Don, to send me a quick email just so I have your contact information, I can forward it along to you so that way when you submit the reimbursement, you also have this in writing. Happy to do that for you. My email is Erin, ERIN, @jblfinancial.com. Just send me a quick email. And having things in writing with the insurance company is like gold most of the time.
Right.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you for your call. And Don, don't worry, Green's fees are still covered.
Yes.
Woo-hoo!
So if you can't buy the brand new expensive club, a lot of clients actually emailed, sad for you, Dad. They said I was going to have to raise your pay so you could actually purchase some of these new clubs that you're looking at, since Aetna won't cover it for you.
One thing I thought was great was that they kept in the wearable technology part of it.
I know you love wearable technology.
I'm wearing a Polar watch right now.
But Aetna didn't cover it because you're not 65.
No. But I will say, I don't see anything that has a discussion about golf balls.
Well, if you want to get cute and try it, we can always submit it and see what happens.
Well, I'm going to. I have my green fees ready to be submitted. I'm also assuming that also would include range ball fees.
Well, like Don
Direct
said, that's
exercise, right?
So, Dad, since you are already doing all of these things, how about you test some of this out so we can announce to the group
at
large?
I will, but I'll have to come up with a referral fee for this.
Well, maybe we'll cover one of those new ping putters for you.
Woohoo! Sounds good to me.
Fair enough.
I like Odyssey, though, better, just so you know.
My apologies.
Birthday's coming. It's all good.
Not for 2 months.
314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And speaking of the text line, another one just came in. Texter writes, how does a person file a claim for fitness equipment? Where do you get a claim form?
So you can log on to your Aetna portal, and they are available there. You should also be receiving in the mail a claim form, or you can email Franklin, FRANKLIN, @jblfinancial.com, and he will email you a claim form. It's the same claim form for every piece of the fitness benefit. If you're, doing something with a greens fee or with equipment, it'll be the same form for the fitness allowance benefit.
That sounds great. Well, good. And then while we're waiting for your calls and texts, 314-931-5877, let's talk a little bit about our friends Paul and Judy. It's not unusual for folks to come in and say, been listening to you guys for years. Are we retirement rock stars?
Hear it all the time.
All the time, which is great. So, Paul, let's talk a little bit about Paul. Paul's 64, and he works for a major chemical manufacturing company located in Olivet, Missouri. Big aspirin logo. His wife, Judy, is 62 and currently the chief operations officer of the household. Or like I call your mother, chief mom officer, because she takes care of the grandmas at this point. It's not a laughing matter if you weren't doing it, okay?
We weren't laughing at the work. We were
The
laughing
mom
at the
officer
right. We were laughing
title
at the moniker.
designation.
Chief
Yeah.
mom officer, you like that one? Okay, I did invent that. Well, of course I did.
Yeah, right, of course you did.
They have $1.8 million in retirement assets and $240,000 in savings. $100,000 of that is their vault, so we really don't include that. And the best part is, woohoo, no mortgage payments.
That's pretty awesome.
That is exemplary.
Yeah, well, what's neat is that really gives us a clue about that they're on the road to being rock stars. So let's see if they are. They told us their income goal is $7,200 per month. And, of course, we have to increase that by 20% for taxes, giving them a pre-tax goal of $8,600 per month. Let's talk about their sources.
Paul, Social Security is $2,900 a month. Judy will be electing the spousal benefit at normal retirement age. It comes in at $1,450, and that leaves a net deficit of $4,250. Annualized $51,000 a year.
So if we're looking at how much milk money, how much capital do they need with using a 4% prudent withdrawal rate to generate that $51,000, they need $1.275 million. Well, they're over that number, right? But that's not really the whole story, is it?
It is not, because all those faucets aren't going to be turned on until 2029.
So give us the math, Rob.
Well, at $8,600 a month times 12 months times 3 years, Paul is going to need $309,000 between 2024 and 2027. Judy is going to need $5,700 a month times 12 times 2 years, which is going to bring her total of needed money to $136,000 between 2027 and 2029. So when we add those numbers together, we get to $442,000 on top of the $1.275 million that they need. So they really need $1.7 million to be rock stars.
Which they are.
They are.
Which is neat. So again, let's kind of walk back through this not quickly, but a little more slowly. Because Paul's 64 and Judy's 62, we know that it's going to take 5 years till Judy's 67 to meet her normal retirement age and be able to draw the full spousal benefit, because we assume that Paul was pulling his. That's the one big deal. Paul has to be taking his benefit for her actually to elect the spousal benefit, and for her to get the maximum spousal benefit, she has to be her normal retirement age, which is 67.
Yes.
Paul, obviously, did I say that right, honey?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can confirm.
Thank you. Paul again, his $2,900 Social Security, we're assuming that's not going to be available for 3 years. He's going to put that off, and the reason he wants to put that off is because he wants to, maximize his Social Security benefit, but also be able to maximize Judy's as well. So we have that gap period. You know, the 3 years which of the full income amount, i.e. the deficit plus the Social Security. And then when the faucet turns on, the Social Security faucet turns on 3 years from now, for Paul, we're going to need less money.
But we're still going to need more than we'll need when Judy receives her benefit.
Absolutely. And so, we're not assuming any rate of return on the assets while we're waiting.
It's literally as if you set them to the side in cash and just drew them down over time, which isn't necessarily what our strategy will be, but it is a conservative approach.
So if you think about it, when we add these two numbers together for the gap period, which came out to be a total of $440,000, the milk money after the gap period's over of $1.2 million, they need $1.7. Well, they have basically $2 million.
Right,
and that's
$1.9 without the vault money.
Exactly, and that's always the math.
So we have a little cushion, but not a huge cushion.
Exactly, and so we hadn't really we're not talking here about they wanted to redo a kitchen or they wanted to do this or make gifts or do whatever. So, what can they do to improve their numbers? Well, there's two things they could do. Number one is that they could certainly take Paul could elect his Social Security earlier. If he did do that, we wouldn't need as much capital. That $442 wouldn't be needed on the front end.
But we would need more on the back end.
We wouldn't need more money on the back end. We also haven't discussed the fact that maybe Judy wants to work or go back to work. Now Paul's at home. She's the chief mom officer. She's going to be like, I want to get out of the house.
Oh, so now they're going to switch roles. Paul's going to be the chief officer of the moms, and Judy gets to go back to work.
Deservedly so.
He retired to hang out with his wife, and now she's like, I got to get away from you. I got to go to work.
That's terrible.
It is.
And she's saying more husband, less work, forget it. So, and, it is unusual. So maybe Judy's deciding, hey, you know what, I'm going to go back and do something. Maybe I want to get involved in some way. And we also didn't decide with Paul. Maybe he decides that full-time employment doesn't make sense. Maybe some part-time work or consulting for a certain period of time might.
And that would also impact our decisions on Social Security. For many individuals that decide that they're going to do some consulting work, or especially we have quite a few nurses that we work with. They tend to retire and potentially go PRN, which means they could end up earning quite a bit more than the Social Security limitations before the take-back if they are under their normal retirement age. So that might mean that we are using this exact strategy of waiting until normal retirement age to take Social Security, but we can reduce the income amount needed based on what they are bringing in from being PRN if, Judy was working as a nurse, or if Paul does any consulting work, anything like that.
And we've seen that many, many times where someone will retire and within a few months the company that they worked for, because of their specialized skills or just shortages in the labor market, they're contacting them, making them, in the words of The Godfather, an offer they can't refuse. And that that issue certainly plays into when we claim Social Security, because the take back in 2024 is only $22,340. So
that means you can't earn any more than that when they start taking money back.
They'll
from
take
you.
back one for every $2 you earn over that. So you really don't want to be stuck in a situation where your benefit is being taxed in that way.
Well, and also locked. That's the other side is that it's really locked in at that number.
Anymore either.
Right. You're getting it hit from both ways. You're not getting your 8% increase, and on the flip side, they're taking back one for every two that you earned over.
And one of the other nice things about Social Security is that we can turn it on at any point, which means if you are someone that's potentially considering the thought of going back to work, maybe we're not electing your Social Security to begin the month after you retire. Maybe we're waiting a few months to see how things shake out for you. Unless you come in and say, I'm absolutely done, there's no way I'm going back, then we'll say maybe considering Social Security makes sense.
And even if you've begun to receive it, the horse may have left the barn, but we can return the horse to the barn.
One time.
Right.
One in the first year. Absolutely.
Yeah. One other sidebar on this is in regard to Paul waiting for 3 years till he hits his normal retirement age.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at the numbers, the truth is that he doesn't really have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have enough assets that they could cash flow and make this work very easily for them. But in his mind, one of the reasons that he did want to put this off was because of not just the spousal benefit while Judy's with him.
The survivor
benefit. That's right. Because we know that Judy, assuming that he predeceases her, at his death, she's going to lose her benefit and instead take his. So there's going to be a reduction in income.
Mm-hmm.
Having a little bit more of a thicker floor,
a cushion, if you would,
on the income stream, was something that is important to people in different ways. I mean, think about folks that have pensions. It isn't unusual when we're talking to folks about pension elections. Is what is the level if I do have a spouse? And again, we're talking about folks that have spouses. What is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have pension elections. Is what is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have spouses. What is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have pension elections. Is what is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have spouses. What is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have pension elections. Is what is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have spouses. What is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have pension elections. Is what is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have spouses. What is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have pension elections. Is what is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have spouses. What is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have pension elections. Is what is the level if I do have a spouse? And we're talking about folks that have spouses. What is the le what do I take? Do I take do I take a little bit more money and my spouse gets less? Do I take the same amount, do 100% joint and survivor versus 50% joint and survivor, 75%? These are all actuarially determined amounts, and it's cool.
Quickly, what is the income limit before full retirement age? $22,000.
$22,340.
Well, but after full retirement age, you can earn as much as you'd like, right?
Yes.
Isn't it like 60-some thousand? In
the year you turn, it's $56,520, I believe.
Okay.
So the numbers are a little bit wonky, but keep in mind about $56,000 the year you turn normal retirement age. After you've reached full retirement age, you can earn as much as you'd like. Right. Before the year that you reach normal retirement age, it's about $22,000.
Right, and I know that in that last year, that you're turning your normal retirement age, it goes from a 2-to-1 to a 3-to-1.
The year you turn normal retirement age, for the updated numbers for 2024, I have them here in front of me. 50,528 was 56.
So
where I got
adjusted for inflation, 59,000, but the take back decreases in two ways. The threshold gets higher, 59,000.
One for every three.
It's one take back for every three you earn over that. But the really important one, I think, is pre-normal retirement age, which is the 22,000, and that's $2. At every $2 over, they take one back from you.
And I would say that anecdotally, I know of one. I can only think of one client. Mm-hmm. In the last 18 years.
That paid back their Social Security?
That actually decided that they made a mistake, and they paid it back.
And also they've really put some limitations on that. In the past, you could take Social Security for as long as you wanted and pay it back as many times as you wanted, and doing do-overs. Right. They limited that to one time in the first year, so that really does hamper people's opportunity, because I think that there might have been some people that were using those funds to do other things, taking interest-free loans from the government and then paying it back.
Nothing wrong with that. They shouldn't have changed that. Sounds like a good idea.
Before we take our next break of the hour, we have one final question. Well, it might not be the final question, but we have one more question on the fitness allowance.
And our texter writes, do you know if Essence covers or reimburse for fitness equipment and or gym green fees? Thank you.
Unfortunately, no. Aetna is the only plan this year that is offering a fitness allowance. Essence does have the Silver Sneakers benefit, though, so you do have your free gym access, but Essence, United, Cigna, Humana, none of them are covering any additional fitness expenses. That is only Aetna.
I bet you as time goes on, though,
of course,
they're going to try and, sweeten their pots to draw people in.
Absolutely, they will. That's usually how it goes.
And judging by the amount of interest we've received this morning in texts and calls, I think that's probably going to happen sooner rather than later.
Just like us taking our second break of the hour.
That's right.
And when we get back, we'll be here to answer your questions, either by phone call, 314-931-5877, or text 84126 from the text line. We'll be right back.
This is David Sherwood of Sherwood's Forest, the Inside Out Show's tree guy. You may have heard the name Fertilome. They've been around for nearly 50 years, and they offer a wide variety of fertilizers, weed prevention, weed killers, plant foods, and much more. You won't find Fertilome in the big box stores. You'll find it at your local nursery and garden centers. Fertilome won't force you into a multi-step fertilizer program. Their classic lawn food has slow-release nitrogen and trace micronutrients that will help your lawn grow greener and healthier throughout the season. I've met with the folks at Fertilome, and we stock it at Sherwood's Forest. I'm convinced they can help your lawn, garden, and plants grow into something to be proud of. To find a Fertilome dealer near you, just go to Fertilome.com and click on the Find a Dealer link and enter your zip code to find a garden center that stocks the Fertilome product that's right for your needs, including their natural, expanded product offerings. That's Fertilome.com.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Welcome back to the show. We are in our last 10 minutes of the show, so our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, whether it's questions about Medicare, tax planning, retirement planning, Pittsburgh Steeler picks, which we've been talking about all morning between ourselves. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the KTRS text line. I guess we're waiting.
We're willing, waiting, and wanting for some more text.
Well, that's great. So Jim and Joan, who both happen to be 62. A lot of Jones this morning. They're Jonesing, right?
To retire.
J&J.
There you go.
Again.
At it again.
Or visiting. It's better than doing Lucy and Ricky. Can't do that one too often. Are visiting this week for their semi-annual coaching session with us. Jim's been retired for about 3 years, and at which time he wanted to, but he couldn't because he was too young, to elect the Social Security benefits. He had to wait till age 62. Along with his pension as a firefighter, they had more than enough income than what they needed, which is very cool, right? Mm-hmm. Joan was a part-time teacher and is now a part-time babysitting grandma. Never heard that before, right? She'll be eligible for her full Social Security benefit at this point because she's also turned 62. The questions are, when should they take them? Right? That's always a big question. When should they take them? Well, her normal benefit right now, the one that she has basically on her record, is $900 a month. But the spousal benefit, based upon Jim's record, is $1,400 a month. So what's the rule?
Well, under the current rules, as Jim is collecting his Social Security benefit, she can elect the spousal benefit. If he wasn't collecting Social Security, she would have to wait until he elects or cannot receive the higher amount.
Quickly, when we're talking survivor benefits, yes, we are referring to Social Security, but mainly right now we are referring to spousal benefits, which means your spouse is living. That's a spousal benefit. When your spouse passes away, that's a survivor benefit. You can elect survivor benefits on a spouse that you've been divorced from if you have not remarried, as well as you can elect spousal benefits on spouses you've been divorced from, but you need to have been married for 10 years. Just as a quick aside before we continue on, since we're talking a lot of Social Security.
And I think, again, what's important here to remember for everybody listening is that when you're making an election, whether it's on your record or on someone else's record, your spouse's record, the benefit's going to be key to your age.
Yes.
So in this particular case, as we talked about, her normal benefit is $900.
That's when she reaches normal retirement age.
Which she is 5 years younger than that. And the spousal benefit, which she would be eligible for to elect on her husband's, is $1,400. So naturally...
That's when she also reaches normal retirement
yes.
age.
So it would seem that it would make sense that she might consider, if they're in a position because they do have enough cash flow between the two of them, that she might wait. And if she does, then she would actually see really a $500 difference between electing her benefit or the spousal, because she only has a choice of one when it comes to that election period. There isn't any more switching back and forth type of a deal with the spousal benefit. The survivor benefit is different. If Jim was to predecease Joan, she could receive that survivor benefit based on his record.
Correct.
And what would happen is that if at some point in time, in this case it wouldn't, but if at some point in time, if her benefit was to exceed the survivor benefit, she could then switch over back to her benefit, but not with the spousal anymore. That's where the laws have changed.
That is correct.
Very good. Other question they had is, where should we put the money as we don't need it to support our lifestyle? And what they're referring to here is the Social Security benefit.
The $1,400 a month?
Yes, the $1,400 a month. Well, we know that the $1,400 gross is going to net them approximately $1,250 a month or approximately $15,000 a year.
Okay, so this is cool. It's easy for Joan to decide to wait and to take the spousal benefit until she reaches normal retirement age because they don't actually need the income, so it makes sense for her to let it keep growing.
Yes.
Perfect.
So let's kind of go through, I guess you want to call it the wish list or the need list or the want list, et cetera, that we go through with clients, helping them make this kind of a decision.
Well, their emergency fund is full and overflowing.
That's a big deal, because that's the question is, how is your emergency fund? Is it in a position where it has enough cash?
Is it ready for an emergency?
That's right. And is it at a sufficient level so that if you did have an emergency, that we wouldn't have to go borrow money to deal with an emergency? So that's a good one.
Second big one is they have no home improvement projects to fund. And we hear that a lot. Everyone wants to redo the kitchen, redo a bathroom, but they don't have anything like that on the agenda.
Well, and if they did, certainly what we could then do is dedicate this money to help either make payments or to pre-fund that obligation that they were going to create in the future. And naturally, what we'd be talking to them about is, hey, not only what are you going to do, because we're going to make them send us pictures. We love that. Clients send us pictures of the money that they spend. But also, what is the date and what is the amount? So that we can really try to fit and make sure the cash flow is there. And then, that really kind of also leads to and answers the question, well, if I don't have enough, should I borrow, creatively speaking, from my emergency fund, from my vault to fund this and then just refill the vault later? And so versus going into a retirement plan, et cetera. So it's good to have cash flow.
Absolutely. And, the next major item that they don't have to worry about, their cars are newer. They don't need to be replaced. They don't have any credit card or, home equity debt obligations.
So in other words, this money really is free and clear. It could be available for investment purposes. And we know, in talking to them a little further, they mentioned to us that they have 5 grandchildren. I wasn't hating on them, okay? And
zing.
Boy, that was like F5 battleship, et cetera. So we have 5 grandchildren. Why not start a savings plan for them with a part of the money?
$10,000, $2,000 a grandchild makes sense.
And they still have some cash left over.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a very nice idea. Starting to build wealth for that next generation. We hadn't had a discussion about, we're not going to talk today about their ages, but, one thought could be is that if any of these children are actually have any part-time work or even they're actively at work, they're declaring income, they could and they would be eligible maybe to make a Roth contribution for them, which could be that's kind of cool. So how often would this happen? How long would this happen? Would this be something that would be something continuing? And, there are other ways to do this, right?
It's a nice idea.
Nice thought, but, I think we could do better.
Yeah, is it possible? Would it maybe make sense to consider if we could turn this $2,000 immediately into an asset that could be worth 45 times or $90,000? Today.
Not tomorrow.
Today, exactly. So how does that really work? Well, the way that it works is that, and we're seeing this very often with many of our clients, they're considering purchasing life insurance on their ages.
With their grandchildren as the beneficiary? Exactly.
And so that money would then flow to them income tax free. The neat part is that $2,000 on Joan at female age 62 would create a $90,000 death benefit today.
So each grandchild, if Jim and Joan took the same amount of money and instead of just putting it aside for each grandchild, purchased either multiple life insurance policies or one larger policy with each of the grandchildren listed as equal beneficiaries, could turn the $2,000 into $90,000.
Yes.
And cumulatively, the $10,000 would be $450,000.
That's great.
Well, fabulous. And
the premium never goes up.
No, it wasn't, and that's a fixed guaranteed contract. And so when you think about, is this really a good deal? Well, look, no one knows how long anyone's going to live except for the man or woman upstairs, okay? But Joan's 62. We know that the break-even in terms of pure cash flow, 2,000, 90,000, 45 years. If she lives 40 years, you could say maybe this wasn't the greatest deal. But statistically, she probably won't last that long. If she lasts one day, it's an incredible deal. So obviously, the sooner she goes, the better rate of return. In either case, creating a guaranteed inheritance, which is not being subject to market risk, can be valuable.
You know what else is valuable?
Just tuning into the show next week.
That's right. See you next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.